Do you really need to take a compass? Like, I mean, are these things really necessary? I mean, you got your phone, and you know they just take up space. They cost money. Like, what's the big deal? Now you got guys like this guy over here, and this guy over here. Don't want to forget about this guy. And this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Like, all right, so you get the idea. Everybody is saying you should take a compass, but let's take some practical thinking into it. Is it really necessary? Well, we're going to discuss that in this video, and we're going to answer that so that you never have to question it again. And we're specifically going to look at a compass that a lot of these guys say you should get. They promote, and you know, it's for a good reason. Now, some of these features that I'm going to talk to you about with compasses, these guys kind of glossed over. They didn't go over in great detail, probably because they don't feel like they use it a whole lot, and the average person probably isn't going to use it either. Historically, we've got lots of different compass choices. We have little button compasses that are tiny. In fact, I had one of these as a kid on my Lego pirate ship. Man, was that a cool pirate ship. And you know, I've talked about, and I even showed you how to use this style compass. This is an old card compass from the 1910s, a see-by-night. Now, these things have a really interesting history. At the end of the video, I'll show you this video, and I suggest you go on there, especially if you were ever curious, how did the old timers really use these type of compasses to the same level as the compasses that we have today? And then we have this classic 1920s Scout compass that's got some pretty cool features. It's not the most accurate anymore because it's a little rusted. So why did these things move on to, say, things like base plate compass? Well, the Suunto MC2. The Suunto MC2 has a lot of features that we're going to discuss, and I'm going to show you how to use all those features with this topographical map. Now, like peas and carrots, yeah, that guy said it first, you know, like peas and carrots, a compass and a map go hand in hand. Now, a compass and a map goes way back as far as necessary equipment. It doesn't matter if you're Kephart, if you're Dan Beard, if you're the guy who wrote the first Boy Scout manual. I think his name was Sir Robert Baden-Powell. He's a military guy. I don't know. You might have heard of him. But all these guys believed that compass work was necessary for going outdoors. And even with a well-marked trail, you should take a compass, okay? You should at least take a compass in most state parks, at least here in Ohio. I'm only going to talk for Ohio. So if your state parks aren't like this, then you guys got some catching up to do. But just about every state park I've ever been to has had a place for you to pick up a park map. And those park maps were generally topographical maps, which is very useful. Okay, now this video is going to be focused on the compass. We're not going to talk about maps per se, but there's a lot of things we're going to talk about in regards to map work, because that's how the Suunto MC2 really shines compared to base plate compasses, these older dial compasses, needle compasses, card compasses, little button compasses. These are all nice little things to have, and these will get you and serve you very well. But if you really want to step up your game, if you really want to be accurate, if you really want to be safe, then having the features of the MC2 would be really nice to have. There's more expensive compasses. I got this one, I think 4 or 5 years ago. I got one for each of my kids. Back then, I think it was around $50. Now it's like a $70 compass. Shop around, like I always suggest you guys do, but it is well worth the investment because of the features that it has. And in fact, if you're interested, go to my description box. I do have it on there as an affiliate link. You know, I get compensated through a commission if you choose to get it. It's not going to cost you anymore, but it does support the channel. But as always, always shop around and do your due diligence. And if you support this channel, we really appreciate it, because it makes all these things possible. So thank you. All right, I'm going to move the camera and we're going to talk about it. All right, my friends, before we get into this compass, let's talk about a map. Getting a topographical map is pretty necessary if you're really going to go hunting in an area, because generally speaking, you go off the trails when you go hunting. If there's an unfamiliar area that you're going into that's maybe like a national park, like here in Ohio, we have Wayne's National Forest. It's a beautiful forest. It's really large. It's very easy to get lost in if you don't have a map. Now, if you stay on the trails it's still a good idea, like I said, to stop by your park entrance, your ranger station, and try to get one of their maps because you don't want to get lost. So when we're discussing a topographical map, here's some important things. As we look up here, we have a couple different markings. What we have here is the GN, that's grid north. So all of our grids that are on this are facing north. Okay. And then over here we have magnetic north. You'll notice it has a 6 degrees right below it to the left. And right here it says true north, 1 degree, just slightly to the right of grid north. So here in the United States, just about all the maps I'm familiar with always face north. So we don't have to really pay attention to the grid north so much, but double check to make sure. So generally speaking, when we face our map, we face it towards us. And then we take out our compass and we have to figure out, well, which way is actually true north? Well, the nice thing about this compass is it has declination on it. So you can see a little screw there, it's a flathead screw. So sometimes it's a pain in the butt to configure, but it's not too bad. And you have this little tool here. That way you can stick that in there and you can adjust it. This little red part here, this is called the doghouse. And the general terminology when we talk about compasses. But it's just a red arrow. Now it's called the doghouse because it kind of looks like a house when you face it up like that. Think of Snoopy. And then you have your different needles. So this red will always be the magnetic north needle. Always red and always points north. But notice this, it points magnetic north. And a couple other things here. We have a marker right here. This one glows, which is really nice. In fact, this whole dial right here glows. That's another nice feature of the Suunto MC2. And then you have this red mark here that glows. So these are indicator marks. When we turn this to north, like so, and we line it up with all the other indicator marks, you'll notice that my doghouse is to the left because I adjusted the declination on this. See if I can show you the doghouse moving just a little bit. Pull that off. So pay attention to the doghouse and I'll see if I can balance doing this on camera. All right. All right, so move that way and then move slightly back that way. All right, so now that we have that, now we can adjust this here. So you always move the map, move yourself, and then once you have everything set, then you can do whatever navigating that you need to do. So this, since this says 6 degrees, notice it says 6 degrees west. Never eat soggy waffles. I learned never eat soggy wheat. Whatever, you get the point. North, east, south, west. So my declination, this little doghouse actually needs to be moved 6 degrees that way. 6 degrees. Each of these little ticks represents 1 of those degrees. A feature of this compass is obviously the scale. Right, so we have the straight edges here. So again, we can figure out using the scale here how far a mile is in case we're hiking. So that's really nice. So we can be pretty accurate with that, but also it has the magnifying glass. So the magnifying glass is really useful for going over numbers that are really, really small, going over little markers just to see how far different things are, how high different things are. See what we have here. So that tells us that is the top of that hill right there is 900 feet above sea level. The fact that it has the declination is really nice because all you have to do is say you're stopping, you line up your compass with one of these straight lines, doesn't matter which line, and then you orient your map. Okay, once you orient your map and the needle is in the doghouse, that little red arrow there is into the other red arrow, now you know that your map is oriented as true north. So now you can take this and you can plot out your course. You can figure out, all right, well, that's that little hilltop to that hilltop. You can measure it out. Here in the United States we use inches because that's the way we are. So right there, we got 1 inch between that hilltop and this hilltop over here. And we know based off of our scale, here we go, that 1 inch is 0.4 miles. Isn't that nice? 0.4. 1 inch, roughly about 0.4. Okay. Another nice feature about this that I haven't seen another YouTuber really talk about in great detail, and this is the feature that if I would have had this available, well, I mean, I had it available. Another feature that I haven't heard another YouTuber really use, that if I would have thought of, because I knew about it, but if I would have thought about it, this would have saved me some heart attack. Notice that on the side of the MC2, it has 1 to 25,000. So this is a different scale, but if we flip it over here, look at this. 1 to 24,000 feet, or 1 to 24,000 scale, and it has these degrees. These lines here are used to correspond with that right there. So we can get an idea of how steep certain points are. So for example, one that I'm showing you right now, if we take these lines here, that's roughly a 25-degree slope. That's not too bad. See if I can find one that's a little bit heftier. Now, just in general, nice thing about this is if you play around with topographical maps any amount of time, you know that the closer the lines are together, the more steep it is. But if you're just like, man, how steep is that route? You know, 30 degrees. I don't know, it's starting to get kind of crazy. But if all the way down here at 45 degrees, look at that. Let's see. I don't know if I can find one that's 45. That one's pretty daggone close. 45 degrees there. Like, that is a path I am going to avoid. There's no way in the world I would want to go up this unless I absolutely had to. It'd be extremely uncomfortable, could be potentially unsafe. So we're going to avoid that route. Instead, we're going to try to come over here. So it's just a good way of figuring out what route you're going to take, and again, mentally prepare yourself about the hills that a certain path may already take. All right, now, so how this works, just like any other compass, this is a sighting compass. It's really nice because it has the mirror. And if you notice over here, it has a notch. Okay, that notch is what you're using to sight to take your bearing. And then it has the mirror here, so as you look through that notch, let's see if I can get something right. There we go, maybe not. So you can look through, see something through that notch, and you line up your bezel with that to get your true bearing. So really you're looking up here first to say it's a tree, a mountaintop, or something else like that. And then you're looking up at the mirror so you don't have to like tilt your compass down or whatever. It's going to be very, very accurate in comparison to take your degrees. So now you know what direction that you need to go, right? All right, now if we take a look at this Suunto, this has a neat little tool that this doesn't have. If you notice, there's an extra needle. That needle is what's called an inclinometer. Now, the inclinometer, if we angle it, you notice it floats down, like so. So now we can figure out the angle by degrees and figure out the slope. We can figure out how high maybe a tree is that we want to cut down or something like that. So use some little bit of algebra or geometry, rise over run, and then you can figure out those kind of details. So the Suunto MC2 has got a lot of features, right? I think it's worth the money. It's an investment, and you pay for it once and you never have to worry about it again. It's got all the cool features that you really need. You can check out my description box below. My Amazon affiliate links on there. But again, always shop around to see what best deal you can get. And if you support this channel, we really appreciate it because it makes everything possible. Now, I'd like to invite you to join our newsletter. It's a free newsletter. Once a month, I send it out to you. I don't spam you or anything. I might give you an update about some things that's going on. but it's a free newsletter, and in that newsletter I give you guys write-ups, historical write-ups, articles, contemporary items, and things like that, special deals that I found, you know, shopping around on the internet, just to pass it on to you guys. But again, it's 100% free. Check it out. Recently, I am going to do a write-up on this compass, because I'm really into compasses right now. This is a 1920s old Scout compass. It's got some neat features that other compasses didn't have, and those features can be pretty cool if you know how to use them and why they were implemented. So it's a neat little thing. I also want to invite you to join our community, the Camp Crafters Guild. It's a community just for people like us who like camping, bushcrafting, hiking, backpacking, all the above. If you like outdoor adventure, it was built for you. And we'd like to invite you on there. And you can try it out for 5 free days, poke around, see if it's a good fit for you. If it's not, no hard feelings, that's fine. But if you choose not to join, I would really like to get your feedback as to why. Because we want to make things better. We want to give you guys more opportunities and give you more value and things like that. If it's not a good fit for you, I'd like to know so I can improve it, and we'd really appreciate it. We're waiting on there. Now, if you're not familiar with all the features of it, we have lots and lots of opportunities for people to share as far as members, but also we bring in guests and experts to share with us their great knowledge. Most recently, we had the great-great-grandson of George Washington Sears, George Nessmuk Washington Sears. Now, Nessmuk, if you're familiar with historical campcraft, he is synonymous with lightweight backpacking. In fact, he is kind of given the honor of the first ultra lightweight backpacker, and this was during the late 1800s. So his grandson came on, talked to us about his trip following his grandfather's footsteps, shared with us some of his family stories, and we even got a little bit of an understanding of some of the artifacts that are still held by the family. So if you missed out on that, man, that was a great conversation. We also had Jay Hercules of Opossum Dry Goods come on. He makes pouches and bags and things out of canvas goods. And he discussed with us the pros and cons of canvas. You know, in the bushcraft community especially, everybody's wearing those canvas bags, but maybe that's not exactly a good choice for you. Or maybe you're not thinking about the right size for you that you really need. So he was very honest with us to help us make an educated decision. He's a great guy, and we have guys out there like that coming on to discuss those things. And again, we invite you, check it out at www.honorableoutfitters.com/join the guild. Check it out for 5 days. We hope to see you on there. Now, if you're interested in checking out my video about an old style compass and how to use it, you can go to your park or something and check it out here. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Give a kiss hug to your loved ones, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Take care.